Welcome to Time Traveling Team, the podcast where we review every episode of Doctor Who right from the very beginning. I'm Tricia.
And I'm Paddy. This week we continue our journey of the trial of a Time Lord as we explore a tale from the Doctor's future in Terror of the Vervoids. As usual, we'll be discussing the Doctor, the companions and the villains and giving our thoughts on the story as a whole.
We'd also love to hear your thoughts on the story, so as always, to join the discussion, you can check us out at Time Team, that's TIMETEAMP, or you can email us at timetravelingteam@teamproductions.com. Now though, as per usual, my friend, if you wouldn't mind entertaining us with a story recap, please.
I will indeed. Part 1. The Doctor somberly returns to the courtroom, having taken a recess to mourn Peri's death. The Valeyard says it is an act and that the Doctor never really cared about her and demands that the trial recommence. The Inquisitor chastises him for his brusque manner, but asks the Doctor if he is ready to continue. The Doctor says that he is, and thanks her for allowing him access to the Matrix whilst on recess. He says he will present evidence of his innocence, showing them an adventure in his future that saved Earth. The footage shows a red planet, Mordar, that the Doctor says is a repository for rare minerals. The footage shows a large starliner, the Hyperion Tree, that is arriving to take a consignment of minerals back to Earth. This footage shows the assembled crew and passengers, which the Doctor reveals that several of whom will not survive the trip. He says that there is someone on board that will murder to keep a secret hidden somewhere on the ship. In the lobby of the Starliner, a woman named Professor Lasky is arguing with the concierge Janet over luggage missing from her room. Chief Security Officer Rudge joins them to solve the problem. Rudge explains that Lasky got her rooms confused and that her luggage is waiting for her. Another man, Grenville, appears and gets the key for the room that Lasky thought was hers. As Grenville prepares to leave, he is greeted by someone who addresses him as Hallett, speaking about a previous interaction they had, but Grenville says that he doesn't know him and hurriedly leaves. However, rather than go to his room, he disguises himself in work clothes and joins them in the cargo bay. Meanwhile, on the TARDIS, the Doctor is being subjected to a rigorous workout on an exercise bike by his companion Mel, an energetic, red-headed young woman. Back on the Hyperion Tree, Janet drops off some coffee to Edwards, the officer manning the comm station. He tells her that he's been trying to hail an unidentified craft, but to no avail. Janet then leaves, but moments later, someone else sneaks in and knocks out Edwards with an injection. The unseen figure then sends out a coded message, which is intercepted by the TARDIS. The Doctor sees it as a Mayday message that indicates there's a traitor on board Hyperion Tree. He lands the TARDIS on the Starliner, and Mel is eager to go investigate. As they exit, the Doctor says that they need to be cautious, revealing that the Mayday was sent directly to the TARDIS. Mel says that he's the one usually that's running headfirst into danger, but he says that he feels an evil presence around them. He suggests that they leave, but before they can move, they are captured by a pair of security officers. Meanwhile, on the bridge, a revived Edwards is questioned by Rudge and Travers, the ship's captain. Edwards says that nothing was sabotaged and that the security tape was erased. Travers and Rudge guess that the assailant was trying to send a message. Travers then tells Edwards to go to the medic, and after he leaves, the Doctor and Mel are brought in. The Doctor and Travers recognize each other, with Travers not returning the Doctor's enthusiastic greeting. The Doctor asks if he was sent the Mayday call, and Travers denies it, and again shows his displeasure at the fact that the Doctor was the one who answered it. Mel comments on their hostile treatment, and Travers says that his last encounter with the Doctor caused nothing but mayhem and intrigue. The Doctor reminds him that he saved Travers' ship, but then says that there seems to be no emergency. He and Mel then prepare to leave. However, Travers says that they are to be confined to the lounge until further notice. After they leave, Rudge comments on Travers' hostile nature, and Travers tells him to monitor the Doctor, as he believes he will discover who sent the Mayday call. Meanwhile, in the cargo area of the ship, a Morgarian scientist is monitoring a group of large organic pods. In the lounge, Mel notices the Doctor's unease, and he says that he has a feeling of trepidation about the mysterious Mayday call. She suggests that he take a look at the passenger manifest, whilst she looks around the passenger area to see if she can find anything. She makes her way down a corridor, but is confronted by Rudge, who asks where she is going. Seeing a nearby map, she says that she is going to the gym, and he offers to take her there. Once there, he gives her a headset with workout instructions, and he then leaves. Mel spots Lasky working out nearby, and sees her assistant, Dolan, come to talk to her. They leave in a rush, and suddenly Mel hears someone speaking to her over the headset. She runs into the control room to try and see who it is, but sees it as empty. Back at the reception, the Doctor is speaking to Janet to try and see the passenger list. They are interrupted by Rudge, who agrees that it makes sense for the Doctor to see the list. The Doctor says that he doesn't recognize any name, but he spots Mel signaling to him from nearby. She tells him about her mysterious contact, who instructed her to bring the Doctor to cabin 6. Wary of Rudge's eagerness to help, the Doctor confides to Mel that he thinks he's being used and decides to go wander off rather than go straight to the cabin. Meanwhile, Lasky and Dolan arrive at the cargo area and see that the lab with the pods has been broken into. Another of her aides, Bruckner, tells her that the remaining seeds for the pods have been stolen. At that moment, Mel arrives at cabin 6 and sees that it has been ransacked. Suddenly the Doctor arrives and tells her that he didn't want her to come in case they were both caught in a trap. He then spots the stolen seeds on a nearby table. They suddenly hear an alarm go off and they go outside where they see Janet. She says that there has been an accident in the waste disposal area. They go down to see Rudge and Travers examining one of the waste compactors. They see Rudge holding a shoe and remember that they saw a matching one back in the cabin. They explain about the mysterious summons and Rudge says that it must have been Grenfell, the man who had the mixed-up room with Lasky. Travers comments that the Doctor always seems to bring death with him, and Mel rebukes him for the comment. The Doctor leads her away and says that their mysterious contact is dead, they can now leave. Mel reminds her of the conversation she overheard Lasky having and says that it might be worth checking into the cargo area. The Doctor tells her that she can go if she wants, whilst he stays in the gym to think on things. The footage stops. The Doctor says that the footage has been altered, as none of this was present when he reviewed it earlier. He says he would never have ignored the information Mel gave him, and that the words he said in the footage are not the ones that he would have used. The Valyard says the Doctor is just trying to use his concern for Mel to try to distract from his part in Peri's death. The Inquisitor says it is unlikely, as these are events are in the future, and the Doctor couldn't have thought of that. The Valyard acknowledges this, but still says the Doctor is trying to trick them. The Doctor notices some of the Valyard's words are similar to what he himself had said in the footage, and he says that someone is manipulating events to make him look guilty. The Valyard furiously says the Doctor is trying to absolve himself of whatever fate he sent Mel to. The Doctor is stunned by this and lets the footage play out. Mel arrives in the cargo area and is confronted by Edwards. She says that she thinks something down there might be linked to the Mayday call and asks about Lasky. Edwards says that she's a scientist and using part of the hole for her hydroponic experiments. He opens the gate to the lab, but when he touches the wall, he is electrocuted. Mel screams in terror as sparks fly everywhere and something begins to emerge from one of the pods. Part 2. Mel flees from the lab and runs into a pair of security guards. She tells them about Edwards and one of them goes back to check on him whilst the other takes Mel to see Travers. After they leave, the thing from the pod attacks the security guard checking Edwards' body. The footage stops and the Valyard says that Mel is lucky to be alive after the Doctor sent her there. The Doctor again says the footage has been altered to incriminate him and that the only way to find out who's behind it is to continue on. The footage restarts and shows the Doctor in the gym, where he is joined by Lasky. Rudge comes in and tells the Doctor Travers wants to see him and brings him to the bridge where Mel is being questioned. Mel tells him that they are accusing her of having killed Edwards. She tells him that his death was caused by whoever booby-trapped the lab. Suddenly Rudge gets a call from the medical team to say that Edwards' body has disappeared, and so has the guard. Mel and the Doctor say that she must be innocent, as she has been with them the whole time. Travers tells Rudge to organise search parties, and then after he leaves, angrily asks the doctors what is going on. Mel says that there is a killer on board. They then leave and make their way down a corridor, where they see a guard stationed outside a door marked Isolation Room. The Doctor wonders if the guard has been stationed there to keep people out or to keep someone in. Meanwhile, down in the lab, Dolan and Bruckner arrive to find all the pods open and empty. They search around and then Bruckner says he thinks he saw someone in the shadows and they go to investigate. Back upstairs, the Doctor and Mel continue on into the main lobby and Mel asks where he put the seeds that they found in the cabin. The Doctor takes them out of his pocket and says that they should now show them to Lasky, citing her expertise in agronomy. They see her sitting nearby, and when they show her the seeds, Lasky calls for Janet and demands that the Doctor be arrested, saying that he is a thief. Mel explains where they found the seeds and asks if they are important. Lasky says that they are, calling them Demeter seeds, and explains that they are a breakthrough experiment which will allow them to grow in any environment. Rudge arrives and asks what is going on, and Lasky clears everything up, mocking the Doctor who frustratedly eats one of the seeds. The ship suddenly shakes, and Travers arrives to tell everyone not to be alarmed. He explains that they have altered course to speed up their arrival time to Earth. A trio of Morgarians, who all wear special hazmat suits and speak via translator packs, question him about the change of course, asking if he will bring them in proximity to a black hole. Travers assures them that everything will be fine, but they are reluctant to trust him, saying that earthling assurances are what tricked the Morgarians into having their planet strip mined. Travers refuses to discuss the matter any further and leaves. The Doctor expresses sympathy for Morgarians' issues, and they say that humanity is spread through the universe like locusts. The footage stops and the Valiard says that the Doctor is again trying to distract them from his guilt by this show of political debate. The Doctor rebukes the Valiard, saying that in his eagerness to chastise him, he has ignored a crucial point of the footage which indicates that someone is about to die. The footage restarts and shows the Morgarians receiving drinks. One of them suddenly starts to choke after having his, and he collapses to the floor. The Doctor rushes to aid him and prepares to remove his helmet. The other Morgarians, Travers and Rudge, all rush to stop him, saying Morgarians cannot live without their breathing apparatus, but the Doctor reveals he isn't a Morgarian. He pulls off the helmet and reveals the man to be Grenville. However, echoing the earlier passenger, the Doctor says that his real name is Hallett. Mel asks why Hallett would have faked his own death, and the Doctor says that he must have been investigating someone or something on the ship. He says that when the other passengers recognized him, it must have alerted his target, and so he had to go in disguise. Rudge asks why he wouldn't have been informed of a covert operation, and the Doctor says that he could have been a suspect. Rudge then asks how the Doctor knew that he wasn't a Morgarian, a question which is echoed by the Valiard in the courtroom, who accuses the Doctor of tampering with the footage. The Doctor shows him the footage of Travers' earlier encounter with the Morgarians, and shows that Hallett didn't turn on his translation pack to speak to them. The Doctor then thanks the Valiard for justifying his investigations into the events on the ship. Back on the ship, the Doctor and Mel go to investigate the lab. The Doctor wonders why Hallett sent a distress call and used him as a distraction for his own investigations. They go to investigate the pods, and the Doctor takes on a leaf that he had surreptitiously taken from Hallett's body. He wonders what the pods could be, and Mel sarcastically says that he is not an agronomist like Lasky. The Doctor reminds her that Lasky clarified that she is a pharmacologist, explaining that it is the study of breeding plants and animals. Elsewhere, Bruckner argues with Lasky and Dolan about the efficacy of their work, highlighting all the damage that has been done. Lasky says that he is overreacting, and reminds them they all swore to keep their discoveries secret until they reached Earth. Unbeknownst to them, they are being absorbed by something from the air ducts. Meanwhile, the passenger earlier identified Hallett, Mr. Kimber, is attacked in his room by one of the creatures that emerged from the pods. Later, the Doctor and Mel go back to the isolation room and see Lasky exiting the room wearing a mask. The Doctor says he needs to go into the room, and he sets off a fire alarm to draw the guard away. He then takes a pair of nearby gas masks for himself and Mel, and they go into the room. Inside, they find a large container, and when they open it, they see a woman with plant-like growths all over her face and head. The woman opens her eyes, and Mel starts to scream. Part 3. The woman frantically begs them to stop Lasky, and the Doctor tries to comfort her. However, Lasky and the others arrive and force the Doctor and Mel out. The Doctor demands to know what is going on, and Dolan reluctantly reveals that she is his lab assistant, Root. He says that they are taking her to Earth to try and heal her after being infected with the pollen that they were working on. The Doctor and Mel admonish him for his seeming indifference to her fate, as he says her condition is part of the risk of their work. Suddenly, Rudge and a guard arrive to arrest the Doctor for setting off the alarm, and they take him to see Travers. The footage stops as the Valiard expresses confusion at the Doctor's use of this part in his defence, and the Inquisitor asks if the Doctor thinks the footage has been tampered with. The Doctor begins to berate the Valiard for his aggressive nature, but the Inquisitor cuts him off and orders the footage to be restarted. Janet finds Rudge and Mel in the corridor and frantically tells them of Kimber's disappearance, and then leads them to his room. Rudge investigates the room but finds no evidence of any foul play, and tells Janet to calm herself down before leading her away to search the other rooms. Mel goes in after they leave and takes a look around. She spots a leaf coming out of the ventilation duct and takes it with her as she leaves. Later, on the bridge, the Doctor tells Travers that he knows that he's been using him to investigate the goings-on. He says that they should contact the Earth authorities and ask them what Hallett was investigating. Travers says he has already done so and was told that his mission was top secret. He says that he did request access, but they may arrive on Earth before then. The Doctor leaves to continue his investigation and asks Travers to update him if he gets a reply. Meanwhile, down in the passenger lounge, Rudge is cornered by the Morgarians who demand to know what is going on. Elsewhere, a guard is attacked by two of the plant creatures. He radios the bridge but is incapacitated before he can speak. However, Travers orders the location to be investigated. Down in the lab, Dolan finds Bruckner tearing up documents, saying that the disappearances are a result of their work and they cannot continue on with it. Dolan leaves but locks him into the lab. He then rushes to the gym where he finds Mel confronting Lasky about the leaf. Mel moves away and Dolan tells Lasky about Bruckner. She leaves, and after she goes, Mel asks Dolan about the pods in the lab. He says that they are the shucks of a fruit that they grew on Mordar and that they are taking them back to Earth for a demonstration. He then leaves, but before Mel can follow him, she hears noises coming from the docks. She grabs a pair of headphones and places them into the dock before rushing to the control room to listen to the feedback. She hears raspy voices say that the passengers must be dealt with one at a time. Suddenly, she is attacked from behind and knocked unconscious. Her body is hidden in a laundry tub that is wheeled out by an orderly just as the doctor arrives looking for her. He goes to the control room and hears the audio of the voices, which Mel had actually recorded. He realizes that Mel must have been in the tub and quickly runs to stop it from being thrown into the waste disposal unit. He gets there just in time and wakes her up. He takes her back to the control room, but they see that the tape with the audio has been removed. The doctor wonders who attacked her, and Mel says that it could be a woman, saying that it couldn't have taken much strength to carry her body. The doctor asks for the leaf so he can go to the lab and tells her to investigate Janet and Lasky to see if either of them have the tape. The doctor demands that the footage be stopped after it shows him in the communications room wielding an axe above destroyed equipment. He says he didn't do that, and the Inquisitor asks if the equipment wasn't destroyed. He says that the equipment was destroyed to stop Travis from reaching anyone, but that he didn't do it. He insists that the Matrix has been tampered with, but acknowledges that he has no choice but to continue, as it is his only defense. The footage restarts, showing Mel searching Janet's room. She hears someone trying to get in and hides just before one of the plant creatures enters and looks around for her. Down in the lab, Lasky berates Bruckner for his actions, saying that all the great scientific achievements have had their detractors. Bruckner says that she only wants to continue on with her work to satisfy her own ego. He realizes that all of their work and the creatures are confined to the ship and then suddenly attacks her. He then rushes out of the room, barging past the doctor. The doctor confusedly goes into the lab where he sees Lasky on the ground and goes to tend to her. She comes to and tells her about what he heard on the tape. She denies any knowledge of it, but he berates her for her actions and the work. She ignores him and tells him that he needs to stop Bruckner, leading him out of the lab as she does so. Elsewhere, the creatures who call themselves Vervoids say that they must stop Bruckner or else their entire race will be killed. At that moment, Bruckner arrives at the bridge and wounds Travers before forcing him and the rest of the crew out. He then sails off the bridge and begins to alter the ship's course. The doctor and Lasky arrive and tell Travers of Bruckner's intention to destroy the ship. The doctor asks if they can cut off the power, but Travers says no, as the ship was designed to be hijack-proof. The whole ship starts to shake violently as the doctor reveals that Bruckner has changed the ship's course to enter the black hole. Part 4. The Vervoids say that Bruckner must be stopped, and they all make their way through the air ducts to the bridge. They cannot break through the gratings and instead flood the room with marsh gas to incapacitate him. Just then, one of the bridge crew manages to cut through the lock of the bridge, and the gas starts to seep out. Lasky says that they can't get in, as even gas masks will not work. Rudge says that he has an idea and calls the Morgarians to come and help. They enter the bridge and successfully put the ship back on the correct course. However, just as Travers prepares to take over, Rudge pulls a gun on him and says that he and the Morgarians are taking control of the ship. Rudge berates Travers for his years of ill treatment of him and leads him and the others back to the passenger lounge. As they make their way down the corridor, the doctor sees Mel up ahead and then stops, loudly demanding to know why the ship is being hijacked. Taking his cue, Mel runs to the lounge and informs the other passengers about what is going on. She leads him away into hiding just as the doctor and the others arrive. Rudge demands that Travers give him the keys to the vault and then knocks him unconscious when he refuses. The doctor asks what is in the vault, and Rudge says that it contains the valuable minerals from the Morgarians' planet. He says that he is helping them because of both bribery and the fact that he was forced into retirement. The doctor says that they must work together to face the threat of the Vervoids, but Rudge ignores him, but lets the doctor treat Travers. The Morgarians then broadcast their takeover throughout the ship, and it is heard by Mel, Dolan, and Janet. Dolan asks Janet to round up the remaining security guards so they can fight back. Janet is reluctant to do so, saying that the hostages might be killed, but Mel says they have to do something. She says they can try and warn the hostages first and then climbs into one of the air ducts. At that moment, someone kills the two Morgarians manning the bridge controls. Back in the passenger lounge, Mel spots the doctor through the dock and gets his attention. She tells him about the plan to rescue them, but he tells her to attack the bridge instead. Mel goes back to the others and tells of the doctor's suggestion. When they get to the bridge, though, they find the dead Morgarians, and Mel wonders who killed them. Donald says they need to try and convince Rudge to free the hostages, and Mel suggests taking the Morgarians' masks to him as proof that the hijack has failed. They arrive at the lounge, and Donald manages to disarm the stunned Rudge, who then flees. Travers says the guards will catch him and orders the bridge crew back to their stations. The doctor says he needs to find the tape of the Vervoids' plans, and Travers gives him permission to do what he must, giving him a weapon as well. He then prepares to leave, but Mel asks why he announced the tape so publicly. The doctor says he did it for Lasky's benefit to see how she would react, and suggests that Mel go search Lasky's locker in the gym for the tape. The doctor goes to search Dolan's room, and a short while later, Dolan arrives. The doctor says that he and Lasky are the only suspects for the murders, and Dolan insists that they are both innocent, but says he will take the doctor to where Lasky stashes her top secret documents. They go to the lab, and Dolan shows the doctor a secret locker. As the doctor tries to break into it, Dolan produces the tape and hands it to the doctor before taking his weapon. The doctor reveals that he knew Dolan was the murderer, saying that he was the only one who could have carried out all the killings, as well as having no alibi for them. Dolan says he intends to harness the power of the Vervoids to replace the automaton workforce on Earth. The doctor says that he's little more than slavery, but Dolan ignores him and prepares to kill him. However, the weapon doesn't work, as the doctor reveals that he had disarmed it. Dolan then tries to escape, but finds Travers and a pair of guards outside, with the doctor revealing that he had slipped Travers a note about his suspicions. Dolan is brought to the brig by a guard, but en route he is captured by the Vervoids. Back on the bridge, the doctor reveals that the Vervoids' plan to kill everyone on board is based on the fact that they view all other life forms as animal-based, which is in conflict with their own plant-based existence. Everyone realizes that there is no chance of coexistence with the Vervoids, and Travers asks the doctor to support him in whatever comes next. The footage stops as the doctor says that Travers' request is proof that he didn't interfere, as the Valiard suggests. The Inquisitor agrees, and the Valiard says that they should watch until the end. The footage restarts and shows the doctor in the lab with Mel and Lasky as they try to find a way to defeat the Vervoids. Just then, a group of Vervoids approach, and Lasky tries to reason with them, but they kill her. The doctor and Mel flee and come across a large mound of bodies, including Dolan and Rudge. Mel is shocked by this, but the doctor says it is part of the Vervoids' nature that they cannot help. They go to the bridge where they hear Travers getting reports of crew and passengers trying to hold off the Vervoids. The doctor says that he has an idea of how to deal with them, but says he needs access to the minerals in the vault. He explains that he intends to use them to create a large amount of carbon dioxide to cause the Vervoids to rapidly age. Travers reluctantly agrees, and the doctor asks him to turn off all the light and heat in the ship to force the Vervoids back into their lair. The doctor and Mel go to the lair where all the Vervoids have gathered and open the mineral caches, which react with the oxygen and kill all the Vervoids. The doctor and Mel sadly look at the disintegrating remains. Later, they say goodbye to Travers and Janet. The footage then stops and the Inquisitor asks if any of the Vervoids survived. The doctor says no, and that even if a leaf had survived, the Vervoids could have grown and taken over Earth. The Vanguard then says that the case against the doctor has changed and that he is now guilty of genocide. End of the story.
Okay, thank you very much, Paddy, for your brilliant recap as always.
Thank you very much. So, what information about my brilliant recap do you have, or connected to my brilliant recap do you have?
Are you asking me to do the trivia?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the air date for this section of the story was the 22nd of November 1986. We have two writers for the story, which is Pip and Jane Baker. This is the second of 4 writing credits for Pip and Jane. We previously saw their work in The Mark of the Rani. We'll see their work again in The Ultimate Foe. They did one part of it. And also in Time and the Rani. The director of the story is... I'm sure I'm going to pronounce this guy's last name wrong. Because I've tried to say it several times. It just comes out as Clop. It's not Clop. It's Chris Clough or Clough or something. Apologies, Chris.
I think it might be Clough because I think over in the UK they do the GH as an F. So
yeah. This is the first of 6 directing credits for Chris. We'll see his work again in The Ultimate Foe, Delton the Barman, Dragonfire, The Happiness Patrol, and Silver Nemesis. The story was commissioned as The Ultimate Foe, but there was no working title recorded in production paperwork, though Pip and Jane later recalled that the story was called The Vervoids during production. The story was a replacement for an original subversion, Attack from the Mind, by David Hallowell, set on the planet Penelope. Later drafts included The Last Adventure by Christopher Bidmead and Paradise 5 by P.J. Hammond. This is actually the last time in the series, apparently, that we're going to see Colin in the TARDIS console room, which I'm very interested to see what that means for what we're going to be seeing going forward. There's some colour coding of the Doctor's outfit here. He's seen in archival footage, or future footage, whatever, with a yellow cravat, blue and green pattern, blue, green and purple waistcoat. It sort of helps with the idea that the footage being from the future. Whereas you're quite different from what he's wearing now. For the cliffhanger in episode 9, which was part 1 for us, Jonathan Turner asked Bonnie Langford to scream in the key of F specifically, since this would segue perfectly into the closing theme music. We'll talk more about Bonnie in a bit and, how she was able to do that so perfectly. Unlike the previous 2 stories, the events of this serial have no underlying connection to the trial. The trial is a framing device, but the episode just can stand on its own without it.
Mm-hmm.
The ending of part 11, so part 3 for you and me, was supposed to be a model shot of the Hyperion 3 flying towards the black hole of Tartarus. But Jonathan Turner thought that all episodes of the trial should end on a close-up of the Doctor's face, even though he specifically made sure that the previous episode 9 that I talked about didn't do that. He had the episode re-edited to end on the shot of the Doctor looking vaguely annoyed at Lasky instead, which, I think the black hole would have been a better ending, even if their black hole looked a little bit weird. Bit Baker got the idea for the Vervoids after reading a scientific journal that plants have feelings, something that we have seen explored in Doctor Who before. Pip and Jane also enjoyed the sort of writing discipline of writing a whodunit. They claimed that the production team assumed that Janet was the killer, as she had the best access to everybody. And according to Jane, there was a betting pool on who was going to be the murderer, which I love. I just think that's a really cool idea. There was brief discussion of having Robert Holmes write this, but he was dealing with health problems and rewrites on Mysterious Planet at the time. The Vervoids were named after the vervain, a genus of a semi-woody flowering plant, also known as the verbena. Cool. Oh wait, hold on. Was it the tree in the cover is not the book song from Mary Poppins Returns? Wasn't she a verbena?
I'm not sure.
I need to look up the lyrics of that song now because it's in my head. Lyrics.
Also, I know that she doesn't mean it, but when she says bibliophile, it just sounds dirty the way that she says it.
She does mean it that way.
Oh, all right. Okay, fair enough. God damn it, Emily Blunt.
What do you mean you can't find the lyrics? Oh, his copyright. Oh, ChatGPT is such a piece of crap. Note, dear listener, AI is not infallible. ChatGPT can't give you lyrics because it's copyrighted. What a stupid thing. No, it was Nelly Rubina. Okay. Never mind. Where the fuck was I? Okay, here it was. Okay. Pip and Jane worked closely with Eric Soward to try to avert any major problems. Communication became poor as he grew increasingly unhappy with the scripts. He later resigned as script editor, we've mentioned that before. leaving J&T to assume his duties. He received no televised credit on the broadcast episodes. Bonnie Langford was really happy when she heard that Chris was hired, she was really delighted when she heard that Chris had hired dancers to play the Vervoids to ensure the creatures would move so gracefully. And she was particularly excited because she'd actually worked with several of the actors previously on stage, and she got a great kick out of seeing them dressed up as monsters. There was a minor emergency, though, when the tube through which one of the Vervoid actors was exhaling marsh gas accidentally dropped down inside his mask, threatening to choke him. Fortunately, the headpiece was removed before it was too late, and after being cleared by medical staff, he was able to return from work, so he was absolutely fine. There was, however, in the midst of all this, a sort of pessimistic atmosphere on set. Again, the whole, are we being commissioned for a new season? Yes or no? Was still hanging in the air, so there was obviously fear of cancellation. Then Eric left and gave a scathing interview to Starburst magazine where he criticized J&T and gave the details of like his exit from the show and stuff. So while Bonnie was having fun, obviously, for a lot of the crew and obviously I'm sure for Colin himself and stuff, it wasn't exactly the best atmosphere.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our cast. So as the Valiant and the Inquisitor, I'm not going to discuss them again. Michael Jason and Linda Bellingham still in their roles. As Professor Lasky, we have Honor Blackman, who's the only on-screen Doctor Who acting credit for Honor, but she did do some audio story work as well. Her non-Who credits include A Night to Remember, The Invisible Man, The Avengers, Jason and the Argonauts, Goldfinger, and Bridget Jones's Diary. And who did she play in Goldfinger, Paddy?
Pussy galore.
Honor passed away back in 2020. Commodore Travers is played by Michael Craig. This is the only Doctor Who acting credit from Michael. His non-Who credits include Passport to Pimlico, Svengali, The Silent Enemy, Mysterious Island, Arthur of the Britons, and Robin of Sherwood. Rudd is played by Dennis Hawthorne, only Doctor Who acting credit for Dennis. His non-Who credits include Dr. Finley's Casebook, The Sinners, Within These Walls, The Human Factor, In the Name of the Father, and Emma. Dennis passed away in 2009. Doland is played by Malcolm Tierney, only on-screen Doctor Who credit from Malcolm, though he did also contribute to Doctor Who audio stories. His non-Who credits include Lovejoy, Braveheart, The Saint, and also In the Name of the Father. Malcolm passed away in 2014. As Bruckner, we have David Allister. This is the second and final appearance for David. We saw him but didn't discuss him in The Leisure Hive, and his non-Who credits include Sophie Task Force, Hail Caesar, Colditz, The Jewel and the Crown, and The Bill. As Janet, who we won't really be discussing as a character, but we figured that she sort of rounded out the cast, we have Yolanda Palfrey. Yeah. This is our only Doctor Who acting credit. Her non-Who credits include Valentino, Pennies from Heaven, Blake Seven, Crime and Punishment, and Dragon Slayer. Yolanda passed away in 2011. Last but not least, we are introducing Melanie, or Mel, as she's generally referred to, which is played by Bonnie Langford. Bonnie was born Benita Melody Lisette Langford in July of 1964. This makes her the first companion actor to have been born after Doctor Who went on air in 1963. So she was a baby when Doctor Who first, or Doctor Who was an infant show when she was born. Yeah. She first achieved fame as a child actor starring in the television series Just William, and she was also in the film Bugsy Malone, which is a brilliant film. I love it.
Wait, as in like the Bugsy Malone that we grew up with?
Apparently. Let's have a quick look at...
And actually, while you're doing that, I can actually picture the scene of In the Name of the Father that the two lads are actually in. It's one of my favorite scenes from that movie.
So yes, she was playing Lena Morelli. So she wasn't like one of the obviously she's not Jodie Foster, right? We know that. And she wasn't the girlfriend, Blousey. She was another female character. It's not one of the two main female characters, but she's another female character.
It's so weird. Like, I know that Bugsy Malone is actually older than I think it is because it says Jodie Foster as a fucking kid, isn't it? But
It came out in 1976. It's older than Star Wars.
Yeah, but I keep thinking it's like an 80s movie. Like, I don't know why.
No.
Right.
Came out in 1976. Where was I? You've distracted me now. Her stage work includes Annie, Peter Pan, the musical, Cats, and the Pirates of Penzance. She just completed a run in Peter Pan at the time that she was announced as the Doctor's newest companion, and the publicity photo that was passed around is particularly funny. So we've seen some of the previous publicity photos, like Elizabeth Sladen's was her sat on like a weird pillar thing outside the BBC. Bonnie's was a picture of her in costume as Peter and Colin in costume as the Doctor flying together on wires. That was her emotional thing. But you need to find that because it sounds very funny. Obviously, we're going to learn more about Bonnie as we go through, but that was our quick introduction.
And I'm amazed with your trivia, you didn't actually point out all the references to Greek mythology.
I did not point out all the references to Greek mythology because they're kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them, I mean, it's interesting that like it is a reworking of a story that was originally set on the planet Penelope.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's where this sort of Greek mythology started. Because see, you've started a minute now. I was deliberately not mentioning it because it was so blatant. But Travers even says like, "Oh Hades" or "Dear Hades," as if like "Dear God," like.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And there's like the black hole of Tartarus and stuff. So it's interesting because it sort of either means that like people started going backwards with naming and whatever, or that maybe humanity went back to an older mythology.
Lords of Cobalt type of thing.
Yeah.
So thank you. I know that you did your best to withhold all the Greek mythology nerd out, so well done you. But now we're on to the character discussion part, where myself and Trish, we will now go in depth into the Doctor, the companions who just Mel.
Yeah.
And then with the prominent characters of Travers, Rudge, Lasky, Dolan, and Bruckner. And then we obviously have the Valiant and the Inquisitor. And I suppose we could just have a small chat about the Vervoids. They're not really characters as such, but I just think they're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, because you did the socials, you get to go first. So, give me your thoughts on the Doctor, please. Thank you very much.
I really liked the Doctor in this one, both in the courtroom and in the story proper. It's clear that he's a bit more tempered in the courtroom.
Yeah.
We don't see it, but we're told that like off screen between episodes, he went away, he explored the Matrix to come up with his evidence. Which in a way I wonder, like, off screen, if he would have taken the time to explore the Matrix to help him deal with Peri's death. A little bit, because I mean he's obviously still hurting, but he looks as someone he's taken time to grieve, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But we do still see the occasional outburst, but like he's clearly learned from the last story. He's not calling your man Knacker's Yard or any of that kind of shit anymore. He's learned his lesson on that. And then within the story proper, there's a lot of sleuthing and, trying to figure things out and whatever. Obviously, we're at a bit of a disadvantage because because we trust the doctor and because the Valiard is as clear as glass that the Matrix has been edited.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're still on the back foot a bit because we know that definitely the bits where the doctor says, that wasn't me, that wasn't the way I said it, that those bits are edited, but we don't know what should have been there instead. So that we're kind of missing bits to sort of form a full picture. But ultimately, I really liked him in the story proper. I liked the way he was with pretty much everybody, particularly with Travers. I liked the way that he didn't try to be like, "Oh, come on, old boy, I wasn't that," but he accepts the fact that he causes Travers issues, so he just accepts it and moves on. Which in the context of the trial is actually really funny because well, in the future he knows that people think that he causes trouble in his wake and he doesn't particularly care. And I really liked how he is with Mel. It's very much indicative of two friends who've traveled together for a while. And again, because this isn't an introduction story from Mel, this is set at some point in the Doctor's future.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how they got there. We don't know how they met or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that he's not snipping at her. He's clearly very caring towards her, particularly when they see what the Vervoids are doing and stuff like that, and she obviously gets understandably upset. He's there to comfort her and hold her, and everything else. And obviously he saved her from the fire and everything. But he also trusts her a lot, and he just lets her do her own thing.
Yeah.
And it's good that we don't see him giving her a lot of instruction. He just trusts her to do her own thing, but also he has fun with her, but not in a mocking way. He does his exercises on his really funny looking bike. But as soon as she leaves the room, he's like, "Oh, fuck that," but he's still counting along with her. He could easily just say no. Do you know, if we the way we've seen the Doctor with, say, Time Ladies in the case of Romana, or the way we've seen him clap back at Peri from time to time, the way the previous Doctor would have been with Tegan and stuff like that. He doesn't have that with Mel, which I think is quite nice because Mel loves just a giant bundle of energy. So ultimately, I really liked him in this. I think there is obviously the ambiguity around the ending. And I'll talk about it more when I go into the overall discussion and stuff like that. But, the Valiard isn't wrong when he calls out, "So you just basically committed genocide."
Yeah.
Now, in the Doctor's mind, he destroyed 4 genetically engineered plant beings that were going to destroy the Earth. And most logical people probably, or most realistic people, wouldn't use the word genocide in that context, but partially that is a little bit of othering as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
But it makes it very interesting because, we celebrate when the Doctor comes up with his ingenious plan and, he wins and we're like, yay. And then the Valiard says that. And while we don't agree with the Valiard, you kind of go, oh, well, he's not wrong. And so it adds that nice bit of sort of moral ambiguity.
Yeah.
Which I like, and which is very in tune with particularly Colin's Doctor. That sort of moral ambiguity is always kind of there. So I like that. So yeah, that was I've been rambling for a bit, but I did quite like him in this one.
Yeah. It kind of brings you back to the end of the Silurians, Doctor and the Silurians. Granted, no, it wasn't the Doctor that was responsible for that, but it's that same, because we're then dealing with the fallout of that in the following episode with the Brigadier and his type of thing. So yeah,
but it sort of brings you back, though, not even just to that, but it takes you back to the Ark in Space, for example, or any time where we see the Doctor, destroy the invasive species or whatever, and we're cheering because they were mind controlling bugs or something like that, or whatever
Yeah.
the case would be. And we cheer as the audience because the Doctor has won and because those things were horrible and they were evil and they killed people and blah, blah, blah. But that's a very privileged way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
If you were looking at it from a purely treat everything equally perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it is murder or it is genocide or whatever. So I kind of like the fact that it gets brought up here because it does sort of flash back to every other time where none of the villains survive.
Yeah.
And particularly when that is an invasive species. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, in a way, like he kind of brings in like the Tuvix scenario, because like the Vervoids didn't ask to be created, and they're alive now. And as like, I really like that like we're kind of like skipping over stuff now, but I really like that sequence where you've got everyone on the bridge saying like, and they're all kind of in agreement like that they can't actually help it because it's in their nature. Like they're diametrically opposed to every other organic thing because of the whole plant animal based. So it's like, yeah, it's one of those ones that definitely makes you think when you come out at the end of it.
Yeah, it's very much a do I have the right
Yeah,
moment,
absolutely.
Which I love. But what else did you think about the Doctor in this one?
Well, okay, first of all, he's not that fat. Like, yeah, it's like he's there on the exercise bike with the carrot juice and she's like having a. I was like, what? Okay, like John Nathan Turner absolutely has no right to be going around and body shaming other people. It's like, so yeah, like fuck off with that. So yeah. Secondly, though, this is a great detective story for the Doctor. Like, I really, really enjoyed him in this because, as you say, going around doing proper investigating, like going really back to that Hinchcliffe era or even like the earlier part of John's era, in having the Doctor interact with all the key suspects and building these new dynamics and relationships, and like the way he kind of doesn't flirt with Janet, but he's trying to impress her with like really shitty magic tricks to let her to make her give him like the passenger manifest. Um,
I'm assuming you caught the Christie nod, right?
the Agatha Christie nod.
Yeah.
Was there a deliberate nod there? Because I was just I didn't.
Oh, there was, and it was zoomed in on him at one point.
Oh yeah, was he agreed with
Last
Agatha Christie book?
Lasky was reading Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh. I actually, very coincidentally, just last night, I listened to the BBC radio drama version of it. That was like it's 5 parts that came out like years ago. It's so good. Um, but anyway, stop distracting me with stuff with other things that I really really like. No, so I'm echoing a lot of the stuff that you're saying here because like I think he was really good in this one, and like the way that he goes like, oh, I know that okay, they're using me, so I'm going to use their use of me to get what I want, which I thought was really cool. I just shows again the Doctor's just like hyper intelligent and he's like 2 or 3 moves ahead. Especially at the end, like when he goes like to Dolan, going, "Yeah, no, I gave you that gun because I knew that you tried to kill me with it, so it's disarmed. Oh, by the way, I already told him that I suspected you, so he's outside waiting for you." It's just like really, really good, uh, double bluffing, or not even double bluffing, just regular misdirection. I really enjoy his relationship with Mel because you can see. I think the way he is with Mel is a direct result of his relationship with Peri.
Mm.
Because we watched him grow as a person with Peri. Now, we have no idea how far into the future, his future, this adventure is, nor do we know how far into his relationship with Mel this relationship is. But like it was just really, really good that you could see that he has learned to be the person that he is. Like, he's not constantly snipping or backbiting or anything like that. And he's a lot of trust in her, which I think is a great thing for Mel. And we'll get to her. We'll talk about her in a minute. But you can see the concern that, like, I would never, ever send someone into danger, or I would never dismiss, that something he might have done in the earlier part of his incarnation.
Mm.
But, like, I would never dismiss something that she would say so, like, callously or out of hand. And I agree as well, like, that he, in the non-courtroom, or sorry, not in the courtroom based part, like, you can see that he's trying to keep his temper back, but he, like, at times you just see him want to kind of go, fucker, stop moving the goalposts. Because every time, like, I'm trying to do something that shows, like, oh, here's the evidence of what you're looking for, you fucking 180 on it and kind of going, well, oh yeah, no, you're just distracting for your, like, it's all a ploy. And I'm like going, like, I'm watching something from the future without, like, how the fuck can you possibly think I'm manipulating this to be anything like? So hats off to him for this one. But the moral situation at the very end, I think, is great, because it is that thing of where he knows it's not the Vervoids' fault for what they're doing. They're reacting the way that their base instincts tell them to. It's their innate self-preservation. But he knows that if they're allowed to land on Earth, they'll overtake it, and then they'll spread throughout the Sol system, and then they'll spread throughout whatever the thing is. And then that's where, again, the other part of it is, because yes, they're an artificially created life form, but they're living. They're now a thing. So like, eradication or genocide isn't the way to deal with it, But given the time constraints, like, if you put yourself into that scenario, what do you try and come up with? And I liked as well, like, how Travers kind of knew that. Like, he was like, going, like, a doctor, I need you to think of the quote unquote, like, the greater good. I need you to put priorities. So at the end of it, yeah, like, you're absolutely kind of going with the Valiant's kind of got a point, but I think it's a perfect example of why you and I both like this show, because you come away talking from you can talk for hours about a 5-minute scene.
Mm.
So yeah, I think this was a very strong showing for Colin, which was good, which I'm happy with.
Me too. So shall we move on to his not so partner in crime, her partner in not so crime, I suppose.
His not so partner. Yeah.
Mel. So this is another interesting experience for me watching a companion. Because this is the first time I've ever, well, actually, this is a lie. I saw another story that Mel was in during the Sylvester run, but I only watched it once, and I wasn't really paying attention to Mel in that story. Because it was in the introduction of the next companion that I was more focused on. Yeah. But obviously, if you've been watching recent Doctor Who, since the 60th anniversary onwards, I've obviously seen a lot of Mel, in modern Doctor Who. And this is my first time really seeing her in classic Doctor Who, in the story that she's like the main companion of, as opposed to the other ones that I've seen. And what's interesting about it is we don't get her introduction. We don't get, oh, she randomly bumped into the Doctor and they did this, and we have no idea how they started traveling together. But again, they have this really nice relationship. Like, the opening scene is hilariously funny because she's like forcing him to do like these really weird. It's an exercise bike, but also has like the handles go forwards and backwards, so you can kind of like row and cycle at the same time. It's very strange. And like, she's just fun and perky and happy. Um, the way she skips is just hilarious. For like Miss Fitness can't use a fucking skipping rope properly. Um, but I love that about her, that she's very much having fun, enjoying the travel, which we haven't really seen in a very long time. Because like Tegan didn't, but Peri didn't really enjoy it. I don't think we ever really saw Peri having fun. Um, we always got told she was having fun earlier, like in the time between stories, but we never actually see Peri really having fun. Um, you know, the group with fucking with uh Peter's doctor,
Oh, Adric, Tegan, and Nissa. Yeah.
like none of them are really having fun either. Do you know? Um, and so it was a bit refreshing to have someone actually enjoying themselves and enjoying the adventure, and so being like, "Oh, come along, doctor! Like, we have to do this," and like, you said to press the red button, like,
Yeah.
hello, which is great. She's very gung ho to drive plot, um, but it's not just her running off into danger or jumping in without thinking. She has good ideas. She has good instincts. She's noticing things. She drives plot in the way we want people to drive plot, which is she doesn't bumble into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very much thought out and based on her observations and like her intuitiveness and like her noticing things. So like figuring out she can use the headset to record who's in the air ducts, and then you can record it in the booth. Like, she remembers the thing from earlier, thinking about the fact that like she can fit into the air ducts and she can contact the doctor that way. All of that is really, really good. Because it's kind of what we want from our companion. Does she get a good scream in? Of course she does. But again, it's a very justified scream as well. I think as a first story that interestingly isn't an introductory story, I think she was fab. I think she had a great dynamic with the doctor. She drives plot, is fun to watch. And I want to see more of her. I was not really surprised because I liked her in the modern stories, but I had no clue what she was like. And to be fair, I've read some really horrible things about Mel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of fans don't particularly like her.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of fans didn't really like her at the time. I don't see it. Like,
I think it was because like she had like a big kind of panto and theatre background, and like John Nathan Turner, his whole thing of wanting to make the show very panto, and then bringing in an actual known panto star just kind of solidified that a small bit. Plus, I think because she actually has that vocal range for the screams, I think she was labeled as a bit of a screamer. So yeah, I think she kind of got hard done by the decision to cast her.
yeah.
You know.
Like, what I like about her in this story in particular, though, is very reminiscent of our favorite companions and how they react to something. She's obviously terrified of the Vervoids, but she never condemns them. She never says, "Oh, they're horrible" or "they're disgusting" or whatever. She doesn't understand them, but as soon as the doctor starts explaining, she gets it. You know, and she feels sad when they die, and like when they find the pile of human bodies, which actually is quite morbid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It affects her in a really natural way. I think that's the thing about her, is that even though like she is a little fucking exercise weirdo,
Right.
who also just exercises weird herself,
Yeah.
naturally, she is very human. Um, but she's a human who, again, seems to be used to the space travel. See, like nothing seems to be surprising her in the sense of, oh, these aliens don't speak English, or they don't speak understandable or don't speak English. Um, you know, these guys are this or these are that. Like, she seems very universe aware in comparison, again, to the likes of Peri, who, even at the end, wasn't quite as universe aware as Mel seems to be from this
Right.
initial story.
Well, there's a very obvious reason for that, and it's because she spent years fighting the Shredder alongside the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, just look at her costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a neighbor to us.
Yeah, so like she spent years used to that kind of weird shit. Do you have anything else to say about her before I chime in?
No, no. You take it away.
Yeah. Cool. So I agree. Like, I think it's a very interesting way to introduce a new companion to the show by having them already established in the TARDIS, because very oddly it reminded me of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, because in all the Assassin's Creed games up until then, it was very kind of wash, rinse, repeat. You go through the learning process, like, like, oh, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you do your thing. And then when it came to 4, like, before you play a pirate, you're immediately doing all the free running and climbing and all that kind of shit that takes hours to learn in the original games. And you're just going straight away, all right, perfect. This actually kind of revolutionized the gameplay a small bit. So here is kind of, okay, cool, we're jumping into an adventure in the future. We actually have a brand new companion. So we don't have to go through that, like, we don't have to waste like 2 episodes worth of like trying to get to know them and building up the relationship with the Doctor. Now, not to say like that all that is always bad, but I think it's kind of, given the fact that we're on this part of this big, huge, long arc, I think you would actually lose a bit of momentum doing that. So doing it here, I think, is actually quite cool. I agree that she exercises in the weirdest way possible, but then again, it was the 80s, so I am assuming that that's the stuff that she would have just transferred over. She just has a really, really good rapport with the Doctor. Like, it's the two of them just sitting back, being so casual, so very easygoing, and they are as thick as thieves at points as well. And his absolute faith in her to do like investigating and like getting his like cues to do stuff. Like, she's very intelligent, and she's not like, she's not dumb. She's not the what people would perceive a Doctor Who companion to be without actually having watching the show. It's just like going, oh, it's like the eye candy, it's the screamer, it's the damsel in distress, kind of going, no, like, she's very intelligent. She's coming up with lots of theories. Like, when the Doctor rescues her and they go back to the control room to find the tape, and he's like, oh, the person, or you say, like, damn it, he must have got away with it. And she's like, why are you saying he? Like, I don't weigh that much. It would have been very easy for a woman to carry and throw me into that tub. And I was going, that's a fair fucking point. That's a really, really good investigating. So yeah, like, I think she's fantastic. And I suppose because I didn't watch any of these stories for Jesus, close to 15 years now at this point, and having my recollections of Mel, not that they were bad, but again, it just fell into that sort of, it's coming towards the end of the show where, you have the bad period, and I don't think there was a lot for the investigating characters. So then when you see Mel being brought back in Shooty's run, and you're like, oh, like, it's nice that like another older companion is getting the run out for the modern era, and going back now and seeing her have a strong start, it's really, really good to see. And I like that she is kind of like the Doctor in the sense of, like, she gets his viewpoints, she can be emotional with him, or she in turn can allow him to have his emotional thing, and they kind of bounce off each other that way, which I thought was cool.
Awesome.
So, prominent characters?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a general comment about our prominent characters.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to say about a lot of them.
I feel kind of the same, because I thought like that this story was pretty much, this is a more Doctor and Mel focused story,
Yeah,
and the other characters are there to uh like fulfill that or support that without being too much in themselves, which isn't a bad thing, to be honest. Yeah, like I so like yeah, like if you've only got like, if you want to kind of jumble them together or lump them together and other stuff, I was kind of going to go with that for Lasky, Bruckner, and Dolan anyway.
yeah. So I'm actually going to start off with the Valiant and the Inquisitor, just because I have the least to say about the two of them. Um, the Valiant just continues to be an ass. Like, this isn't the exact quote. But he says something like the cavalier attitude to which you condemned her to death. Like, dude, you literally blocked him from going back to save her, you dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about the Valier that gets me is that he's a very bad antagonist.
He's a very bad guy.
He really is. Like, the mustache twirling, he doesn't know how to do it. Subtlety is not in his nature. Um, it's the fact that he jumps up every time the Doctor makes any comment or whatever, being like, "Oh, so they're just like, dude, shut the fuck up." Because the more he speaks, the more he's showing his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he makes the Master look subtle, and that's hard, you know.
Yeah.
He would make a modern version of the Master look subtle, which they are not by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And I'm just like, oh, shut up and go. Like, I think the thing that bothers me is that because we keep cutting back to it, it's like this is the longest running thing in the history of ever. But the courtroom scenes, particularly the Valiard in the courtroom scenes and the Inquisitors, they don't add anything.
No.
We've 2 episodes left,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not 2 stories; it's 2 episodes. So we have 50 minutes of story left, and I'm like, you have wasted all the story that we've had up until now. And the Inquisitor is there.
Yeah. Like the Valiard, like the reason the Valiard is not like, the Valiard had so much promise in the first story, and the reason that the Valiard is not sticking the landing is because they have essentially washed, rinse, repeat the Valiard and the Inquisitor for the last 2 stories.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, and there's no character growth, there's no tension, there's no nothing. It's the same fucking story beat over and over and over and over again, and it does fucking take away from the whole thing. And like it's stuff like this that is kind of leading me to make the educated guess that the Trial of a Time Lord as a whole won't score higher than the average of the stories put together, because it just isn't a gripping sci-fi court drama. They're just not doing it. Like, you made the whole thing of like the menagerie, you like passed that comment. It's like, I like at least the menagerie courtroom scenes were actually fucking entertaining and they were progressing shit a lot. Here it's like, it's just way too drawn out.
Yeah.
And with the Inquisitor, it's like, Jesus Christ, change the fucking record. Like, surely now at this stage you've seen enough or heard enough to pause the trial and do a proper, or at least ask questions, as to say, right, he keeps saying that the evidence has been tampered with. If you say it enough times, there has to be something there. So, like, how about we put a time on this and we do like an independent investigation, or even just like, just like look at these allegations of tampering. Like, call in like the fucking record keeper or whatever, So she's not really endearing herself as a competent character.
No.
No.
And like it makes you just want to fast forward through those bits. It's like, well, they're not going to say anything anyway. Why the hell should I even pay attention?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing.
Like, the only worthwhile sequence from the courtroom in this is actually the end. Is with the heightening stakes of, well, now the charge is genocide. That's a really good cliffhanger, I thought,
Mm.
So, like, kudos to you on utilizing 90 seconds of the presumably, 15 minutes worth of cumulative footage from that whole courtroom thing. So yeah, then we got our adventure-based problem characters.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do Lasky, Doland, and Bruckner.
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, the doctor tries to describe them as like, oh, or I can't remember, was it one of them described it, Bruckner described it like, oh, you're the scientist who, like, was blinded by your need to be acclaimed or whatever.
Yeah.
This is just dumb, dumber, and dumberer.
Mm-hmm.
Lasky is as subtle as a fucking brick to the face.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I just think she's badly written.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she's meant to come across as if she's brilliant. She's very intelligent, but she's arrogant and, she's focused on the scientific goal. That, the Vervoids are her crowning achievement. Her name will be remembered for, forever. Like that of the Greek gods or something like that. But she's just so badly written. Her dialogue is horrendous.
Yeah.
And she just comes across as like, she's the one that you're meant to suspect because, she's cagey and she treats Dolan and Bruckner like they're fucking, two lapdogs and whatever. But it's actually just, it's just bad. It's just badly done.
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, I think she's morally ambiguous. I think there is a tragic irony to her in the sense that she's focused on advancement, which would ultimately lead to destruction instead. I think the fact that, like, she thinks that she can, talk to the Vervoids and be like, I wasn't going to use you. I wanted to give you life. I wanted to give you whatever. And she'd have the same death as everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm meant to care about that, but I just don't.
Yeah, because it's just, as you say, it's badly written and it's badly done because she's a stereotype character, but brings nothing new to it. Like, she's not like, going back to, like, say, Lesterston from Power of the Daleks or the guys from Image of the Fandal, like, where, like, the scientists realize that, like, the work we're doing, it's come back to bite us in the ass, or, we have to stop like, it's just really bad. And, like, Honor Blackman is a really good actress, and I think you had other very prominent actors that have come into Doctor Who in this particular time are like going, it's a bit naff. So, I'll just I won't give it my all, which is a shame. Also, she's clearly not as far as she thinks she is, because when she was talking about the Demeter seeds, she goes, yes, Demeter, food of the gods. And I'm going, no, that's no. Stop.
Yeah, I got confused. I thought I misheard her.
Yeah.
I was like, food from the gods? Maybe you could argue, because,
yes, she's the goddess of grain and harvest.
Yeah, but, like, ambrosia is the fruit of the gods. But also even the fact that she called them Demeter seeds. Also, I think she said Demeter, which I was just like, what?
Yeah.
The fact that she even called them Demeter seeds is her trying to put herself on par with a god. You know? But yeah, I just think it was just badly written. No offense, Pippa and Jane.
Yeah.
And I agree with you as well on the performance. I was surprised. I was expecting a good performance from her, and I was surprised at this. I don't know if that's a directing choice. I doubt it, though, given the performances that we got from Bonnie and Colin. Or if it's a what the fuck am I meant to do with this choice?
Yeah.
Do you know? But yeah. So moving on, we have Doland.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, again, these people are all meant to be peers, but he is still a lackey. He's a bit more calculating. He's probably a bit more like our classic evil scientist that we've seen in other stories. He's also like the most over the top, least subtle bastard you've ever met. And his plan is one of the stupidest plans in this story. He plans to use the Vervoids as slave labor, so they don't have to use androids. And I'm like, okay, is using androids a problem? Would you rather use them for something else? I don't see the logic. And the thing that for all three of them that makes the whole thing make no sense is what happened to the fourth member.
Yeah.
Like, your one's turning into a Vervoid effectively. And still you think that they'd be better slave labor than androids? Really?
Well, the biggest problem with that whole thing is I think that if the character of Root, so the infected person, if they had been more prominent in the story, I think the guys might have actually themselves done a bit more justice, because their arguments are about, like, yes, this hypothetical, theoretical, like, horrible thing, but they're completely ignoring or stepping over. Like, I know it was good for, like, the initial mystery of, like, we can't, what happened, but then the audience sees what happened, so just utilize it, incorporate it in. Like, say, like, oh, well, Root is like half of Vervoid, maybe that, she could reason with them or whatever. They could do, like, the whole kind of like unclean, you're not actually a full Vervoid, or a bow down before me because I am your god. Like, something like that, I think might have given more weight to Lasky, Bruckner, and Dolan.
Yeah. Bruckner then is the worst of the three in terms of performance, I think. Yeah. And in terms of the way he's written, he's just the voice of paranoia. His idea of seizing control of the ship and flying them into a fucking black hole and trying to destroy everything. I'm like, here's a clue. Go tell the Commodore. Go tell the doctor. Go tell someone what is happening, as opposed to trying to convince those two bozos or destroying the research notes. Like, what he did nothing. And it's just stupid. Yeah, no, he just comes across as stupid.
Well, at least he had the thought to realize that, like, hey, if this thing that I'm terrified of, we're all confined to this one thing, I'll just fucking destroy the thing. I was going, well, it's a solution.
It's a solution, but this man is meant to be intelligent. It's like, maybe tell someone. Like, I highly doubt. I mean, did he really think that the doctor, that the Commodore, that Rudge would go along with Lasky? Like, what? Don't be fucking stupid. I think ultimately, as a trio, they they just come across very flat. Like in a whodunit story, I mean, each of them comes across like at the beginning. You're like, okay, like which one of them killed your man off and all that kind of stuff. But what they contributed to the actual story doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And like again, they become a they're there as well type of thing.
Yeah. Like, I think with the Bruckner thing as well is that, like, I don't think he sells the terror of the Vervoids enough to warrant the whole destruction of the ship.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, like, he doesn't get across, like, how, like, left unchecked they can take over the world. Like, he doesn't do, like, a Triffids thing on it or anything like that. So, I
like
think it's like,
well, what would have been more interesting would have been like if he was discussing it with the doctor, he came clean. They're trying to work on something together. They do plan A. Plan A fails. Then he loses it and tries to take over the
yeah,
show.
yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. And then we have Rudge. Now, my first thought about Rudge was, oh no, this is his last voyage. He's not going to make it to the end of the episode. I'm like, could you like signpost that anymore? Um, he's another one where the resolution of his story, like what he was doing on the Hyperion, type of thing, is just dumb. Like because he was underappreciated, he's going to help the Bulgarians hijack the ship and sell the cargo that was being brought to Earth to be sold anyway. I'm like, okay, like you're a shit security officer anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he didn't know what was in that fucking isolation room is just bananas. But then the fact that he hijacks the ship, the fact that he still hijacks the ship with everything that's happening,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just die already. Like, um, so he's so petty about everything, and I'm like, dude, I just can't with you. Just go away.
No, I get you. Because, like, Travers isn't the maniacal tyrant that Rudge makes him out to be. And it's like Rudge does come up, like Rudge tries to paint it as like absolute proper grievance, and like, now to be fair, you haven't really shown anything worthwhile to say that you are hard done by. So you don't really have my sympathy, you know?
Yeah, and like clearly, there was indications that there was something up with Rudge anyway, which is why the guy who was killed was on board in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, but then I think probably other prominent characters, I think Travers is probably the only one that sort of is fine, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not overly bombastic, he's not an extreme in any way. He's sort of the classic authority figure that we've seen time and time again. I wouldn't really put him on par with, again, like we always use the example of way back when of Moonbase and stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily put him on
Yeah.
par with them, but he's a no-nonsense commander. He's ultimately respectful of everybody. Like, it's not like like he calls Rudge his bullshit, but it's not like he fucking lambasts the man completely. But like he has a very military response to it. But like he'd get along well with the brig, lock down, contain, preserve order.
Like his whole thing is like, look, I'm just a fucking ship's captain. I'm not, career army. I'm not a navy. I'm not. I just go where the fucking shipping company tells me to go, type thing. So in that regards, he's very competent. And again, like in the case, the showdown with the Morgarians, like where they come up with the air their grievances, he's like, it's not my place to have this conversation with you, you know?
Yeah. And like even
though, no, I was going to say like, that even if the Morgarians do have like a genuine plight, like he can't do anything to help. Yeah, like okay, he could give you back the cargo or whatever, but he's at the same time, as he pointed out, like he's a working man. He needs to. Like he even talks about like when they're giving the doctor the cache of minerals to stop the vervoids. He's like, without that, I have no like retirement, I have no pension or anything like that. And she was like, well, if you do keep it and you don't use it against the vervoids, you won't have fucking anything anyway, you know?
Yeah, and I like that even when he's having that conversation with the Dr. Mel about using the cargo, it's not like he's not blustering, but like, I can't possibly blah, blah, blah. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. My nest eggs.
He knows what the right thing to do is. He doesn't rally against it. He airs his dissatisfaction, his wish that there could have been a different way. But ultimately, it's not like he storms off in a huff and they have to try and convince him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's very little convincing involved. It's just, okay, have your Obot, and there we go. Okay, cool. Movie stuff down. So I think of all of the prominent characters, he's probably the one I liked the most. Because he was the most he was the simplest in many ways, and it was done well, and he was written well, and he was performed well. There was no over the top nature to him like the other three, and ultimately I think he worked well with Colin and Mel. I think those three together all kind of worked quite well.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we have the Vervoids.
Yes, we do.
Or as I like to call them, the watered down version of the Krynoids.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen this story before.
Yep. Yes, we have.
And it was a Krynoid.
Yep. But in this story, we don't have a guy that wants to fuck his plants.
True. But I would still consider the Vervoids to be a watered down version of the Krynoids. Like, even the way the doctor's saying at the end, like, if even one of them had survived, if one scrap of one of them had survived, like, that's the Krynoids that you're describing. The fact that, like, they're taking, like, that, one of them got stung or struck or whatever it is, and she's slowly turning into one of them. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this. It's called the Krynoids. Like, I have seen this before. I think ultimately as well, I think they were underdeveloped. I think there was too much happening with the whodunit that they didn't really get time to shine.
No.
And I think their design and their movements, I get like the Bonnie, like, oh, it makes them more graceful. They shouldn't have been graceful, I don't think.
No. Like, they should
have been wild.
Yeah, or just like shambling things, or either just ungainly, because they are walking plants.
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of them. And I don't know if that's because they're underdeveloped or if it's because the Krynoid did it better. I'm not quite sure. It could be an either or for me.
I do think they have I think their look is intimidating, because it's like, you've got the exposed brain and like the big kind of weird grape, half a papaya fruit cone around their head that looks like something else. Um, but yeah, like, there's just like they have an interesting look, but I definitely would have liked to have seen them a bit more prominent. Like there are some genuinely spooky kind of watching from the shadows points that are actually quite good, I think. But
They were good when they were in the shadow and when they were in the dark. They don't, ironically, for a plant, they don't do well in the light.
yeah, no. So we're almost there. Just one last one to go after this. But before that, we've got to give the story a score of 5. So again, you did socials. You
I did.
did intro to character discussion. So you get to lead us off with our scoring. So what are you going to give us?
Cool. So we've discussed a couple of things already about this story that I really liked. I really liked Mel. I really liked her dynamic with the doctor. I liked the doctor in this one, both in the courtroom and in the story proper. I really liked the whodunit aspect of it. I thought that was going really, really well. And I liked the moral ambiguity or the moral question we had at the end around, yes, the doctor saved the day, but, you know, there should have been a better way type of thing.
Yeah.
All of that I thought was great. What I didn't like and what I think didn't work, what I think didn't work was setting up the travelers on the ship. Again, they're going for a Murder on the Orient Express type of thing. And I don't think it really worked. I think the fact that Bruckner, Doland, and Lasky were a trio, I think that was too much. I think, because basically you then had either it was them three, the aliens, or the old men. And you're like, it doesn't really work as well compared to, again, the likes of Murder on the Orient Express, where, yeah, you've groups of people, but like the group is 2 people.
Yeah.
You know, you've got solo people and duos. I think we needed more solo people. And I think that would have made, like, because the whodunit still works by itself, but it would have made the building blocks around it. It would have made us feel more invested in it. I couldn't give a shit about them, about what they were doing. Same with Rudge. Couldn't give a donkey's about what he's doing. And I don't think the script particularly cared, because like the Demeter seeds never get discussed again. Like the doctor eats one. But like, nothing happens. No one's worried. There's no like, oh, don't eat them, they're not for human consumption. And like, so there's so many things where it's like, okay, like, was that an issue? Was that a thing? You know, even the investigation that was being done and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think given the fact that we obviously don't have resolution of the courtroom, I think the story within and the mysteries within need to be really, really solid.
Yeah.
I also wasn't a big fan of the Vervoids. I think it's been done before, and I think it's been done kind of better, or at least more consistently in other stories. But the main thing that I hated about the story is the fucking courtroom. I am done with the courtroom. It's dragging on too long. We've now had 12 episodes at 25 minutes per episode of cutting back to this fucking courtroom, and nothing is moving forward. They have 50 minutes to resolve this. And I'm slightly worried on how they're going to do it, because nothing in the courtroom moves anything along. And personally, I think the courtroom as a framework is a failure, because the courtroom works when you're looking backwards, using the court to show something that happened in that will happen in the Doctor's future, other than one, depending on how you view time travel, means that he wins his case because he's still traveling with Mel.
Yeah.
Or two, he's trying to build a defense based on things that he's only seen in the Matrix. Dude, you have 5 other lives of evidence. Use Genesis of the Daleks as evidence. The Time Lords sent you there to meddle. Use the 3 Doctors as an example. That there's so many different stories in the past that could have been used in a menagerie style thing, that it doesn't make sense for them to show a story from his future. Like, that's like in court today, calling a witness without doing any prep with them, so you have no idea what the fuck they're going to say. And it's because we know that the Matrix is being meddled with, but we don't know how, and we haven't got a resolution to that it doesn't really work. And I was thinking about it then. I was like, okay, we're being a little bit harsh in a way, in the way that we're reviewing this, because we broke this out into 4 stories. Because that's generally the way that it's watched. But it's meant to be one story.
Yeah.
It's Trial of the Time Lord. It's one thing. And I was thinking, like, okay, if I had watched this as a continuous thing without massive gaps in between for holidays and travel and everything else that we've had to go on, would it still bother me as much? I think it would. I think it's just badly framed. So what does that mean for a score? It's tough because there was a lot of this I was just bored, or I was like, oh fuck's sake, like whatever, move on. But the bits with Mel and the Doctor I really, really liked. Like I said, the whodunit aspect of it I really, really liked. So like the general framework of the future story I really, really enjoyed. And on its own, I probably would have given that like a 3.5. Even with the annoying side characters. Because the courtroom thing is getting on my goat so much, I'm going to go to 2.75. And I feel bad for it, but I personally didn't enjoy the 4 episodes together as much as I enjoyed the individual components in a way. So I feel bad, but like it's 2.75 for me. Okay, what about you?
So yeah, no, I completely echo your point that the courtroom section in this is just, it's a failure. It's bad because I don't think the courtroom is sustainable for 14 episodes.
No.
It's not. Maybe it could have been sustainable for 12. Maybe. But this is just literally pretty much, it's the same thing as last story. It's, oh, look, here's proof. No, it's not. It's tampered with. Oh, look, here's proof. Oh, shut up, you fucking pompous windbag. Oh, look, here's proof. Doctor, stop it. It's just like, it's the same shit over and over again. So it's a massive detractor. And then there's like stuff within the actual story itself that are like kind of really bad execution. Like Mel goes into the ducks. So after it's her, Dolan and Janet, and she goes, I know, I'll tell the Doctor, and she goes into the ducks. Straight away, we're cut to a scene then of where the 2 Morgarians in the bridge are killed, which are meant to be killed by Dolan. And then Mel comes back and Dolan or Janet are there, and Janet makes no reference to the fact that Dolan seemingly disappeared for fucking 15 minutes to go and kill these fuckers and come back, It's like, that doesn't make any sense. The the whole thing of the Demeter seeds and the doctor eating one, and we've shown we've shown a victim of a minute pollen contamination. What about the doctor? Should he have a tree or a vervoid growing from his belly button, or something? It's acknowledge the fact that he acted like a fucking polo mint. Then the character, the other side characters in it, they're weak, but I think if they're not designed to be weak, Jesus Christ, the writing really failed on them. Because, as I said, I view this as it's a vehicle for Mel and for Mel's introduction and showcase, and also her relationship with the Doctor and showing the Doctor recovering from Peri's death. That is the core strength of this story. Now, it does harken back to a good classic story, the classic era. There's an evil, all-encompassing force. There's a murder mystery. There's moral dilemmas. There's the companion helping to drive the plot, and the Doctor being very engaging with everyone he interacts with. That is what the story leans on, and it's what's required to make the story as good as the story can be. I think I'm a bit more forgiving of the Vervoids. Just based on a conversation, because I kind of like their, thinking of it now, I kind of like their design, and I like their in the shadows aspect of it. But they're brought in, or they're kind of shown off too late into it, and the murder mystery just isn't really written that well. All in all, though, I think if I was to watch this, I would watch the actual adventure, and I would skip the courtroom parts of it. And I think for that, because I know it's kind of tricky, because it's meant to be a part of one overarching narrative, and you're meant to take into account to it. But I think at this stage now, I've kind of at least for this story, I've kind of gone, okay, yeah, I can watch this without having the rest of the Trial of a Time Lord. I'll just watch I'll find an edit of it where it's just a standard adventure. So I think I'm a bit more forgiving of it, and I gave it a 3.75.
Mama.
Yeah. I was like, it doesn't quite rate a 4. It doesn't. But I think just for the Mel and Doctor dynamics, it goes above the 3.5. And it's like I'm not going to do 3.65 or 3 point whatever. But yeah, I was really impressed with Mel, and I was like, this is a Colin again. Christ, Colin gets I've said it before, I'll keep saying he gets such a bad rap, which is a shame, because this is a really good story that might even possibly make its way into my rambling, So yeah, it's if so far, I think if you're going to watch some story from the Trial of a Time Lord, Terror of the Vervoids is it.
Yeah.
At least from a Colin performance perspective.
Yeah. It's weird because I'm looking at the scores I gave Mysterious Planet and Mind Warp. I gave them both 3s. And they were fine. There was just something about this one. I don't know. I think a lot of it was because the courtroom was so weak. I didn't want there to be weak parts in the future story as well.
I'm probably going to have Brian Blessed going, what is love?
Oh, I love him so much. But yeah, so just for context, so currently your average for season 23 to date is 3.42. My average is 2.92.
Ooh, that 2.75 really killed it.
Yeah, because I had 2 3s, you see.
Yeah.
And that 2.75. So the Ultimate Foe, which is the final 2 episodes of this season, has a bit of heavy lifting to do, at least on my side, to have the Trial of a Time Lord be at least on par with last season.
Yeah. So I know what's coming up. I can't remember. I cannot for the life of me remember what happens in the 2 parts, but I do know the general outcome and the general reveals, as it were. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's got the strength to lift it, but we'll see. Because again, I haven't watched this in 15 years, so yeah.
Yeah, and 2 episodes is different to 4 episodes.
Yep.
4 episodes of that dope fucking talking about, oh, is that your defense? Ignorance? Oh, is that your defense? Oh, is that your defense? Let him fucking make his defense, you shut up.
And then also, it's kind of like a weird running time because like one episode is 25 minutes and then another one is half an hour. So it's like, I don't know.
No, it's 55 minutes, so okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So until then, guys, thank you very much for listening as always. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.